Yeah, another day, another blessing. What's up? Good morning, Nenelo. My dear love, Nenelo. You love, you love. What's up? Good morning, Nenelo. My dear love, Nenelo. Coffee time, yeah, you're right. You're right about that. You're right about that, my love, Nenelo. Love you long time. Long, long, long time. Love of my life, man. The love of my life, man. Joseph Taylor, good morning. Is fine. It's all good. Everything is bash. She went to school today. She's alive and enthusiastic. Everything is good. It's all good. Back to normal. Back to business. Building in Queens look like a T.
In the 8 months after 9/11. The fact is 9/11 didn't end on 9/11, and I say that about 68 cancers and respiratory illnesses have been linked to the toxic gas at ground zero. But there is help in serious
Tayo. Tayo. Jumpa, 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 jumpa ya. Jumpa, 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 jumpa ya. Jumpa, 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 jumpa.
Police reported ahead.
Lamplight, Malati. Lamplight, Malati. Easy game. Jumba, 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 jumba. Lambo Bridge is coming up. Lambo Bridge is coming up, coming up, coming up. Lambo Bridge is coming up. קשר של למבו בדרך. בוקר טוב לכל המאזינים והמאזינות, לכל המזדיינים והמזדיינות. מה קורה, מה קורה? איפה אתם נמצאים? איפה אתם הולכים? שתיתם קפה, קפה או קיץ בבתחת. זה משפטים יש, הוא מצחיק החרא הזה. Tayo.
After a nationwide search that included some big city chiefs. She's coming in at a time of rising crime when the mayor-elect wants to strike a balance between police reform and crime fighting. Adams in the statement said the 25-year veteran is, quote, a proven crime fighter with the experience and emotional intelligence to deliver both the safety New Yorkers need
Dr. Ray, what's up, Dr. Ray?
The president of the NYPD's largest union,
What's up, Skinny?
into this state and saying in part, quote, we welcome Chief Stoll to the second toughest policing job in America.
What's up, Skinny?
Of course, is being an NYPD cop on the street here this morning in the Queensbridge houses where Stoll visits a child. Commercial defendant and win in Long Island City. In a year-end interview, a very frank police commissioner, Dermot J, tells me.
The rich people in Afghanistan. Rich people. Yeah, MJ, she went to school. I took Aya to school. I took little Aya, big Aya. I took both my kids to school. Now I want to clean Astoria. Astoria. I have a meeting, hotel meeting in Astoria, Queens. I drop off baby Aya in school. I drop off the big teacher assistants in school. Now I'm on the way to Queens. The rush hour traffic. No problem. No problem. Building something here on the FDR. On the right side, they're building like another highway or something. Somebody, Porsche sneaking in. Somebody is sneaking in. You see on the right side, they're building some kind of highway. What the heck is this? זאב השכן תיקן את הנזילה בגינה של המים. עכשיו, מאיפה החתולים ישתו מים? זו השאלה. צריך להגיד לו את זה. Davey, good morning. What's up? Welcome, welcome. Viva, viva, viva. I need to make a copy for the car, the engine, just in case. I'm gonna look for somebody to make a copy for the keys.
Christmas is still more than a week away, but a lot of people are getting while the getting is good, and those who don't do that may find the getting is not so good.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Airplanes are gonna be full, so get cozy. The TSA says the busiest days for air travel will be December 23rd and January 3rd. According to the site hopper, Atlanta, LA, and Denver will be the busiest airports. And AAA says airlines will see a 184% increase in passengers over last year. Overall, AAA is predicting 109 million Americans will travel over Christmas for 3 years. Thanksgiving of this year and 2% of 2019 levels. Simpson is no longer on parole. O.J. Simpson served 9 years in prison after his armed robbery and kidnapping conviction in 2008.
He went to the room, he took guns, he used force, he took property.
Since 2017, when he was released from prison, he had been on parole. That too has ended. The 74-year-old Simpson can now live and travel wherever he wants. Parole was originally set to end in February, but he was given credits for a good time. Human remains found in a garbage bag in Ohio nearly 40 years ago. Little Jr., who at one point was the guitarist for the band The O'Jays, there's no word on how he died. Surviving members of the O'Jays say he was part of the band in its early days in the 1960s, and they hadn't heard from him since. When his time by 1960s.
Charlie Choo-choo train, Charlie Choo-choo train. This is the train NF. It's N train. choo-choo train. Uh-oh. Somebody tempt me. Somebody entering the house.
Speed camera
Who
reported
is gonna
ahead.
be now? Like that. Gasolina and benzina.
Eric Adams is from Brooklyn, and that's where he wants to be inaugurated. So the ceremony will take place.
Gasolina, benzina.
Also choosing to be sworn in there, incoming controller Brad Lander and returning public advocate Giovanni Williams. Somebody shot a cop in Newark last night. Mayor Ross Baraka says the officer was on patrol with another cop at 14th Avenue and 14th Street around 8:35 p.m.
They approached an individual who obviously was suspicious and asked him a few questions. Before the conversation ended, the gentleman pulled out a gun and began opening fire without provocation, struck one of the officers. By the grace of God, he's doing well.
In stable condition at University Hospital. Cops say the shooter's in custody and they have the gun, but that's about all they're telling us right now. 6 men are facing federal charges of running a prostitution ring here in the city. One of the accused is a cop from Brewster, who prosecutors say provided protection to the ring in return for sexual favors. They are still pressing charges against the defendants. Being charged with conspiracy to transport minors, count 1. Sex trafficking of a minor, count 2. Transportation of a minor, count 3. Hobbs Act extortion conspiracy, count 6. Conspiracy to use an interstate facility to promote prostitution and commit bribery, counts 8 and 9. Use of an interstate facility to promote prostitution, count 11. And use of an interstate facility to commit bribery, count 13. Prosecutors say the ring lured girls from Mexico with promises of a better life here and brought them to New York and forced them into sexual slavery. Stephen Curry set an NBA record last night. It would be great if he played for the Knicks, but of course he does not. And Mark Hayes here to tell us all about it this morning. Mark?
I'm afraid we're about to hit a bunch of old wounds that still haven't healed and probably never will. About the very quick release, and there it is. The best shooter the game has ever seen has cemented his legacy. No one has made more threes than Stephen Curry. Home on Warriors Radio early first quarter as Curry broke Ray Allen's record at Madison Square Garden. Of course, would have been Steph's home court if not for this.
Who's making car keys? Somebody's making car keys. Who is gonna be now?
CNBC says Google employees had until earlier this month to declare and prove their vaccination status or apply for exemptions. Those who haven't complied by January 18th, that is, will be
Who is
placed on
gonna make
paid leave
car
for 30
keys?
days and unpaid leave for up to 6 months before finally getting fired. Retail sales rose by less than forecast in November, suggesting consumers are tempering purchases against the backdrop of the fastest inflation. The value of overall retail purchases increased just 0.3% last month, following an upwardly revised nearly 2% advance in October. Just ahead of the opening bell, S&P futures are positive, but only by a half point. NASDAQ down 18. Dow futures down 1 point. Over 3 months.
wheel. Look at this. You like it? Gold. Gold. 18 karat gold. Gold rim. You like gold rim? Alfa Romeo, BMW. Gold rim. You like it, Ray? It's like you have a gold teeth. Gold tooth. Parking. Give me parking. Where's my parking? Over there. I saw something over there. Okay, you want me to take the life to the hotel or turn it off? What do you say? Okay, I can bring it. Why not? I'll bring it to the hotel. Bring the life to the hotel. Gimbal. I don't have a real gimbal, but I have a Schlumpa gimbal. So this is MJ, she's the professional. I'm not so professional. This is Astoria. Astoria is clean, nice, civilized people. They clean after the dog. Unlike the Bronx and Harlem, they don't clean after the dog. Look at this Buick, old Buick. It's like the old days Buick. It's from Florida. Garden State. Nice, cute housing. Should get some more apartment around. Yeah. So don't forget the miss something. Have some clothing, donated luggage. It's where I hide the key. The keys upstairs. Let's see how they clean the apartment, see how they left it. See the okay, not bad, not bad. See, have a little bed, TV, internet. Where's the remote control? Where's the TV remote control? Sunshine. Fox News.
Range of reasons for that. Would you consider one of the reasons in the range prosecutors who are cutting people who are accused of many criminal offenses loose too quickly?
Look at that lady.
I am not, as I wasn't yesterday, going to give an assessment for every.
Look at that lady. She looked like Chucky.
Noted, which you see in data, is that there has been an increase in crime since the start of the pandemic. I will let others assess what the reason for that increase in crime is. That is all I was conveying yesterday.
Okay, there are some reports that these smash and grab robberies are being organized on social media platforms. Is the administration doing anything about that?
Well, we are monitoring, of course, these steps.
All right, we've been listening into the latest White House press briefing that happened yesterday. You heard there White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki profiled the president's visit to Kentucky today. President Joe Biden, he'll be traveling there to see in person the devastation people there are facing after the deadly tornadoes and severe storms took lives there Friday and this weekend. He'll survey storm damage, meet with victims, and deliver remarks while he's there. Psaki said, as you heard earlier this week, that the president's travel will include a stop in Fort Campbell.
Psaki, she suck.
Then he'll stop in Mayfield and Dawson Springs as well. As we've learned over the past few days, at least 88 people were killed in these storms that hit parts of the Midwest and South over the weekend. At least 74 deaths happened in the state of Kentucky alone, and in that state, more than 100
American flag
are
behind.
still missing today. The president has approved disaster declarations for Kentucky, as well as Tennessee and Illinois. The president is joined by Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear today, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, and Federal Emergency Management Agency Administrator Deanne Criswell for the visit. We will, of course, be covering this visit here on Live Now from Fox, as well as continuing to cover the devastation faced in the states affected. We'll be right back with more coverage. Fox, another look at the devastation here in Mayfield, Kentucky. The president, Joe Biden, is expected to visit Mayfield today to survey the damage for himself. As we continue to cover the aftermath of these deadly storms, we want to check in with some of our Fox correspondents who are fanned out across the areas that were most affected by the severe weather. Let's start with a report filed by Carolyn Shively.
Government will do whatever it takes to help this area recover.
We always see the kids, I know the family, It's hard, it's very sad.
It hasn't gotten any easier for people in Bowling Green, Kentucky, Residents of a housing development are mourning the loss of their 14 neighbors, including 7 children.
Like I say, when I got here, my garage, and I could see that all this was gone. And my immediate thoughts was the babies. They said they didn't make it.
More than 70 people were killed across the state. Law enforcement is still trying to make sure everyone's accounted for.
And so you go about that task of trying to get this work done, and then you come across a wagon, and you think, that's associated with the child somewhere, and did that child live?
Emergency management officials say it may take weeks to get power restored for thousands. Volunteers from around the country are showing up, trying to help those who don't have water or shelter.
They've been really helpful, clothing us, feeding us, able to take showers.
The Red Cross is also collecting much needed blood. The president is also scheduled to tour nearby Dawson Springs. In Mayfield, Kentucky, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Our thanks to Carolyn for that report. We want to move on to reporter Robert Ray from Fox Weather. He actually spoke with some survivors of the tornado. Let's listen into his report.
In Dawson Springs, Kentucky, a town of about 2,600 people, about 75% of it is leveled. There are people mourning here today like you cannot imagine. One of them is Billy West.
I actually lost my mother, Marcia Hall, my aunt Carol Grisham, in the storms on Friday night here in Dawson Springs, Kentucky. Words can't express how I feel right now. The town is totally devastated.
Billy's mother and aunt hunkered down here, but unfortunately their lives lost as they were ripped up and blown at least 100 yards that way and found in the distance.
It's hard to process right now what's actually going on in this town. It's nice to see the hands of volunteers coming out to help, family members coming out to help. There's with the cheesy little.
This is why it's coming back. Is this book? In your next one?
No,
this is the one she always carried.
It's the one that she carried in her purse.
Good night.
Not far from this neighborhood where Billy West experienced the loss of his mother and aunt is an apartment complex. 45 units destroyed. People there reeling and going through the loss of life as well.
They were doing search and rescue for 2, maybe 3 days. A very good friend of mine, Claude Mitchell, he was found underneath a mattress.
Dead. I'm so sorry.
Yes, it was devastating.
The death toll continues to rise here in Kentucky as search and rescue, including the National Guard, are out still looking for those who are missing, and there are many of them, unfortunately. Everywhere you look here, it is scenes of unimaginable destruction. American flags propped up as signs of resilience, helicopters in the air, the National Weather Service surveying, trying to figure out how strong this tornado was that has destroyed so many towns, neighborhoods, and lives. People here are just letting this sink in right now, and others from around the country have come in to try and console them, hand out supplies, and work toward rebuilding the future here. It will take months and perhaps years for all of this to be a distant memory. In Dawson Springs, Kentucky, Robert Ray, Fox Weather.
The deadliest December tornado event, to be sure. No doubt it will be heartbreaking for so many people for so long, as Robert Ray said there. When we come back, we're going to be switching gears just a bit, talking about some other top stories, including the president's Build Back Better bill. Will it pass? Our own Fox 13 political editor will tackle that question when we come back. More live now from Fox in just a moment.
Look, Serena Williams, Matrix. Serena, Matrix. Serena, Matrix. Get your TV together.
together with the best of live and on-demand. Introducing DirecTV Stream.
We get it. We all want to be strong together. We're New York City public school teachers. With parents as partners, we've kept the learning going for our kids. We're staying focused on safety too, fighting for new limits on class size to help every child recover and grow. The United Federation of Teachers. We're all in this together.
What is America? It's the dream. It's the house with the white picket fence and the satisfaction after a hard day's work. Lexington Law believes in this American dream, and we believe that an accurate and fair credit report can help you turn it into a reality. Whether you're looking to buy a home, purchase a car, or just take control of your financial future, preparing your credit report will help you get there. So start working toward your dream and sign up online at lexingtonlaw.com.
When you begin your morning with delicious honey bunches of oats, you make your day and the world around you a whole bunch better. You're the ingredient the world needs, so go on, make a bunch happen.
Beginning right now at 4:30, the Senate still planning to vote on the president's Build Back Better plan before Christmas. Of course, that means not a lot of time, and now it's facing a lot of hurdles. And one key swing vote is starting to raise concerns. Our political editor, Kirkpatrick, tracking that bill through Congress. So what do you think? What do you think the chances are of it actually passing before Christmas?
Passing? Well, before Christmas, the chances are 50-50 at best, and that would be generous because there are no guarantees it may even come up for a vote at that point, because there are several things that could stall it, obstacles, hurdles. There are, in fact, around 20 of them behind the scenes, and there's one big one in plain view.
Whatever Congress is considering doing, they should do it within the limits of what we can afford.
Democratic Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are the swing votes in the Build Back Better plan. If either one of them vote against it, it will fail. At this point, Sinema's not saying much, but Manchin is saying plenty. And he's expressing a lot of concern the bill would drive up debt and drive up inflation.
Still looking for a responsible way forward.
Manchin supports the provisions that provide additional support for child care and elder care. And that would give people more spendable income who need it. But he's concerned that doing that now would drive up demand for buying stuff, which could continue to drive up prices when we're already facing the highest level of inflation in 40 years.
Inflation is real, it's not transitory. It's alarming, it's going up, not down.
The provisions within the Build Back Better plan are popular, like clean energy tax credits, expanded child care, universal pre-K, and additional benefits for seniors. But polling also shows around 70% disapprove how the president is handling inflation. And it's worrying Manchin and firing up Republicans who are now using this as their primary line of attack.
And this is Biden-flation, a 39-year high.
And while Manchin is the most visible hurdle for his fellow Democrats, Sinema's also a wild card, and there are around 20 other technical hurdles that could also stall or trip them up. Remember, the House passed the bill and sent it over to the Senate, but what the House sent over may or may not comply with the Senate rules on spending. The Senate parliamentarian is working through the text and will soon make decisions on 20 different points that could be in dispute. For example, the plan passed by the House would cap the cost of insulin for consumers at $35 a month. That would certainly help an awful lot of people, but to pass it through reconciliation, it has to relate to matters of federal spending. So this is already being challenged. Is this federal spending? How do you justify it? Does it conform to the rules? That's one example. You have $110 billion set aside for immigration reform. That's to speed along work permits and asylum applications. Does it fit within the Senate rules? That's an open question being challenged as well. And while you have examples like that, Manchin is also still pushing back on some of the clean energy tax breaks once reforms there as well, which all this is telling you they still have a long way to go if they hope to pass this by Christmas. And there is, I think, a decent chance they may postpone that after the holidays.
Sure sounds like a lot of moving parts. And if they were to pass it as is, what are we talking about here?
In terms of the cost, it would ultimately approach $2 trillion or more, depending on how you look at it, because the CBO estimates that came out late last week also take a look at, well, what happens if, when these things expire, like the expanded child tax credit, if Congress decides to extend it? How many times does something kick in that's popular that Congress lets expire? So then it extrapolates under some circumstances. If there's a continuation of some of these programs, the cost is potentially closer to $3 trillion, which is exactly where the answer is going to be.
All right, we will see what happens, and it'll be tracking. I think the point.
I wanted to start with our friends at Parental. We just had some new reporting on a new report about the new COVID-19 treatment pill for Pfizer. Scientists just took another big step in the fight against COVID. Final research shows that Pfizer's new treatment pill is 89% effective at preventing severe illness, even against the newest variant, Omicron. Craig Patrick's here now to post a link to data and this new pill. Craig, this is exciting news here. When will this pill be available?
Well, it could be approved as early as a couple of weeks from now, at the earliest, and more likely within a few weeks, certainly the first part of next year at this point. Now, keep in mind, once it is approved in that time frame, it will at first likely be reserved just for people who contract COVID-19 and are at heightened risk, either because of age or they have certain underlying health issues in addition to catching COVID-19. But certainly, that will expand in the weeks thereafter. And as cases continue to rise in the United States and certainly around the world, this will be a critical tool in fighting the virus and keeping people out of the hospital.
We've already secured millions of doses, and the therapy will be another tool in our toolbox to protect people from the worst outcome of COVID.
Pfizer already has 180,000 ready to ship, with plans to produce and ship 80 million doses around the world next year. The Biden administration reserved enough to treat 10 million people on the assumption it would be effective at treating COVID-19 and get approved. While Pfizer was developing it, the lead scientists hoped it would be at least 60% effective at preventing serious illness. That was the benchmark they set for having a breakthrough. And now, according to a study of 2,200 unvaccinated volunteers at risk of serious illness, it's much more effective than they had hoped. Pfizer's new pill called Paxlovid tested 89% effective at preventing serious illness if people who catch COVID take the treatment within 3 days of initial symptoms. And while 3 days for symptoms was initially thought to be the cutoff for it to work, the study shows it's up to 88% effective for those who took it within 5 days of developing symptoms.
And the data indicate 100% protection from death.
And while most of the trial participants took it after catching the Delta variant, a separate lab study shows it's also effective and fights the Omicron variant in the same way. It works by preventing a COVID infection that somebody already has from replicating in the nose, throat, and lungs. And that holds off serious disease and speeds recovery,
making it impossible for the virus to further expand.
And to put the data in further context, of all of those who contracted COVID-19 in the study, again, most of them were the Delta variant, 0.7% of them who took the treatment pill went on to be hospitalized or develop serious illness. There were no deaths. Compare that to those who took the placebo. There you're looking at 6.5% developing serious illness or death. That translates into 89% efficacy here. And again, this would be in addition to and over the course of time, perhaps in lieu of the monoclonal antibody treatments that are also effective in treating COVID-19, but they are much more expensive and not as easy to distribute, of course. And with that, it also requires people going in for either an IV or injections under the skin.
Sure, and a simple pill might change somebody's perceptions about getting the vaccine if they have any issues with it. For difficulty, like you mentioned, if not anything else. How about Merck? Merck has developed a pill as well. Where does that stand, and which do you think we're going to see approved first?
Well, leading up to this point, we would have said Merck. It was on a track before this one. However, at this point, Pfizer seems to be outpacing it, so it's in the process. Merck, it had a lower efficacy rate. It did clear the FDA advisory panel, but in a narrow vote. The FDA has not moved forward on it yet. That's part of the process. So with that, it's highly likely that they may be approved in tandem or close to one another. But at this point, where I would have said Merck a couple of weeks ago, and now it looks as if Pfizer may be approved first.
Sure. Looking forward to it. Appreciate you following it for us, Craig Patrick.
Right, interesting reporting there as usual from Craig Patrick at Fox 13. Keeping on the same vein as the coronavirus, we want to talk about the Omicron variant now. It's spreading quickly, of course. The UK seems to be the hardest hit right now, reporting the first death globally. Several people in the hospital there with the strain as well. It's also been identified in several states across the country. In Texas, our news partners at Fox in Houston brought in Texas's chief state epidemiologist to talk about the new variant.
That is the Omicron variant, spreading quickly now right before the holidays.
The UK seems to be hardest hit at this point, reporting the first death globally and at least 10 people in the hospital with the new strain. So let's bring in Dr. Jennifer Schufer, State Epidemiologist. Good morning to you. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for the invitation.
Sure. Well, the new variant is now being reported in 33 states, including Texas and locally in our area. Up until now, doctors have said this is a cause for concern, not panic. So what data do you have about the rate of spread?
So we know that it is growing in prevalence around the world, including here in the United States. I think the most recent figures were that it already makes up about 3% of the cases that we're seeing in the United States, and even more in New York and New Jersey. So we know it's spreading quickly against the Delta variant, which already spread really quickly. And so it does give us some cause for concern.
Now we know it can be serious because of what we are seeing overseas. But up to this point, most people have just reported mild symptoms. Is that what you've been hearing? And they haven't really even required hospitalization.
Yeah, and so, you know, the reports from South Africa do show maybe even a milder course than what we'd seen with some of the previous variants. But like you said, there is a report of a death in the United Kingdom, hospitalizations as well. So we know that this variant can cause severe disease just like the previous variants did. And if we start seeing a lot more cases, we know that a certain proportion of them will experience severe disease. So it is something that we're looking out for. And kind of preparing our hospitals for as well.
Let's talk about vaccinations. Less than 60% of all Texans fully vaccinated. About 56% was the last number I saw. Scientists in South Africa just came out with new research this morning about how well vaccines work against Omicron. They were taking a look specifically at Pfizer. The effectiveness dropped 30% with Omicron compared to Delta. So, you know, you would assume that this would mean many breakthrough infections, even if mild. So does that underscore the need for boosters?
It absolutely does. So we know that even just having that 2 vaccine series of the Pfizer vaccine, and we assume that this is going to be for all of the authorized vaccines here in the United States, that they do offer protection against hospitalization and severe disease, and even some protection against infection. And that's just with the primary series. We expect with that booster dose and that boosting effect of those antibodies after that booster dose, that it could provide even more protection. And so it's really important right now that if people haven't gotten their first COVID vaccines, that they go out and do that. And if they're eligible for a booster, to go out and get it before the holidays, because that boosting might provide that extra protection that's needed for Omicron.
Now, we're already hearing that some states are trying to stay on top of this and now reinstating mask mandates. That's not happening in Texas right now there. Do you feel like this could happen and send us back to early pandemic safety measures, or just too soon to say?
It is too soon to say, but we do know that, you know, masks and distancing and those things that we were doing early on in the pandemic do work against Omicron. It will stop the spread of Omicron and other SARS-CoV-2 viruses, other variants. And so those are important tools in our toolbox, right? Especially as we have the holiday season coming up. And so if we really want to protect the people that we're going to gather with, this is a good time to use some of those measures, like masking and distancing, to keep ourselves uninfected before we go to those holiday gatherings.
Dr. Schufer, we really appreciate your time. I know you're very busy. Texas's chief state epidemiologist. Thank you for joining us.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
That is...
All right, important information there. We are going to go on a quick break. When we come back, our own Regina Gonzalez speaks with a trauma specialist about all the sad news that we've been seeing out of the Midwest. We'll be right back.
Look, Serena Williams, Matrix. Serena, Matrix. Serena, Matrix.
Get your TV together with the best of live and on demand. Introducing DirecTV Stream.
Today, you have to deal with a lot of moving parts. You want everything to be on autopilot.
We got a huge increase in orders, but it's
and to be prepared if anything changes.
I'll be right in.
With IBM, you can do both. Your business can bring data together across your clouds, from suppliers to shippers to the factory floor. So whatever comes your way, the wheels keep moving, seamlessly modernizing your operations. That's why so many businesses work with IBM.
Nice work, everyone.
I love Made In. I love what Made In represents. With the product, you could tell that there's extreme craftsmanship.
You would think a pan is a pan until Made In came along, and I went, wow, these things are something better.
I use Made In both at home and here at Craft in New York City. They're beautifully made and will help you take your cooking to the next level.
Those are the pans that we use at Alinea. We're going to have the best pans in the world at one of the best restaurants in the world.
When you begin your morning with delicious honey bunches of oats, you make your day and the world around you a whole bunch better. You're the ingredient the world needs, so go on, make a bunch happen.
At the UPS store this holiday, we've got you covered with our pack and ship guarantee. We'll handle the packing and shipping so you can spend less time worrying and more time baking. Everything for the holidays, all in one place.
The UPS store. Salmon can only be this price if Lidl worked directly with fisheries. Or they altered ocean currents, redirecting salmon straight to this landlocked store.
You know, we've talked to you before when it came to the Surfside condo collapse, you know, the Michigan school shooting, and I know that in your time and experience, you've dealt with people coping with natural disasters like Hurricane Katrina, but we're talking about a tornado that could be the most deadly in U.S. history and went on for the longest amount of time. In your career, have you ever seen such destruction? Have you ever seen anything like this?
You know, it reminds me of the tsunami. I spent a month in Thailand with the tsunami, you know, and that went on for about 90 minutes and traveled about 1,200 miles from south to, you know, the north. And, you know, 3 miles in, it was just a swath of complete destruction. But that was a tsunami that, you know, created this havoc on the coastline. The tornado touches down in the middle of wherever it wants. And I believe this was like a 200-mile-an-hour touchdown, or 200-mile-long touchdown, which is pretty amazing when you think about the length of that and going from state to state. And the first part of it is just trying to get your mind around the destruction. So if you live in that area or you live around that area and you were touched by that, the first aspect is, what are you looking at? Because it looks like a movie. If you suffered loss in that, it's even more difficult with the trauma and the stress to get over, because it impacted you, and it not only maybe lost life or friends, loved ones, but lost all your personal belongings. So you literally are starting over with a clean slate. That's not an easy rebound.
Yeah, and Terry, you know, like you just mentioned, people not only lost, you know, neighbors, but family members. We just got word that the governor of Kentucky lost family members himself. So, you know, it's possible that a lot of places that these people would normally go to, maybe, you know, a counselor's office, a therapist's office, could be leveled in this disaster. So what resources are we looking at right now to help these victims?
Well, I'm sure the state of Kentucky, I grew up in Indianapolis, just north of there in Indiana, and we were used to tornadoes touching down. It's a pretty scary thing because you don't have a lot of warning. You may get 15, 20 minutes. I heard they had about a half an hour where the warnings start hitting and then they get more severe, but that's not a lot of time, especially if it's at night. So it's really a scary phenomenon. But, you know, I think since we live in a virtual world, there will be a lot of counseling, coaching opportunities online virtually. I actually have a manual that we give away as a free one. We did this with the shooting. I have a separate one that's called Caught in Nature's Path. And it's exactly the recovery process, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically after this type of disaster takes place. So it steps through a step-by-step process on understanding how grief starts, how it progresses, and how we can finalize with complete healing. But it is a process. And right now, I think it's awesome that the communities can come together, support one another, People obviously are having to live with other people or move away to family to live when your whole neighborhood was destroyed. So it's very challenging, but there are resources out there. I'm sure you have optional resources there at the Fox network, as well as the local networks there in Kentucky. Virtuality has given us a different perspective on how we can get help regardless of our geography.
And, you know, Terry, I think something that broke my heart even more is to see children impacted by this, hiding from the tornadoes. You know, they're going through their stuff. You're finding baby dolls and their toys. Are children especially vulnerable in this sort of situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, this typically causes a structure of PTSD, which I do a lot with the military and people that's been in disasters. So post-traumatic stress is exactly what it is. It's the stress of something that's happened to us emotionally, physically, relationally, that changes our life. Doesn't mean you'll never go back to a new normal. It just means, you know, that house is gone, or that car is gone, or that neighborhood is gone. Rebuilding is a part of the healing process, but with children, it's especially difficult. And I would say to parents, make sure you shelter them as much as you need to let them, you know that the exposure is there, but not overexposure them, because their minds, depending on their age appropriateness, doesn't know how to process that type of loss. We don't as adults. So it's even that much more challenging for young people, and especially children. So I would say make sure we insulate our kids, love on them, let them know everything's gonna be okay, we'll rebuild again, but also keep a close eye on them. And I talk about this in the recovery manual, called Nature's Path. Make sure that you keep eating, hydrating, resting, and sleeping as much as possible, because usually in disasters, the first thing that goes is our self-care. We start worrying more about the thing that happened versus we ourselves navigating through it. So make sure parents and young people that they're taking care of their basic needs, staying safe, but yet looking to build for the future.
And Terry, you know, something that can't be easy to process at all, and if you can maybe go through the steps, not only did these people lose loved ones, but can they even really process that right now with the fact that they also have to worry about evaluating and assessing damage? Will they not be able to grieve the loss of their loved ones until a later time?
Yes, it is a delayed grief process with this type of destruction. And again, I've said to this, you know, and other programs with you, that the closer you are to the epicenter, the swath of disaster, the harder it is to get your mind and your psyche around. So the first step of this is just doing the step-by-step procedures of what do you need to do to survive today. So I talk about in the manual, we have 3 levels of functionality in our daily performance: survive, function, and thrive. So in a disaster like this, you're in survival mode every day, and that's okay. That's the way it's supposed to be. Just get by, get through the day. You know, you have to articulate things. You have to kind of take in all that trauma, you know, chronicalize it, you know, get to a place where you could actually have insurances come and investigators, which could be days and weeks away from now. So that anxiety alone can cause people issues. So just knowing that as long as you're doing everything you can do today in survival mode, it's probably more than enough to get through the day, and tomorrow there'll always be another opportunity. But just staying on track with doing everything you can do today: eat, rest, sleep, make your notes, you know, photos, videos, whatever you have to do, and know that that's why we have insurance. That's why we have communities, and Kentucky's a great state. They'll navigate through this, but this is a big disaster to have to cycle through.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, in such a short period of time, just over the course of one night. You know, is it common in disaster situations like this, Terry? You talk about rebuilding, and obviously that could take months to years looking at, you know, some of this destruction. Is it common that people impacted or people that lost their homes or loved ones will actually not return to this area? Will they maybe choose to move to a different place and start completely fresh?
It does happen. I saw that in Katrina. I was actually forwarded to Charlotte, North Carolina, the convention center. And if you remember, they were airlifting people from Katrina off the rooftops to get them to wherever in the country. I was in Charlotte in the convention center, and I know a lot of those people ended up just changing their residence to Charlotte because they had nothing to go back to. and they ended up just making a life. And if they didn't go there, maybe they went to where they were from originally. So you do see that. I think most of these people will probably end up trying to rebuild, but you never know. And it's okay. I mean, sometimes you have to get away from the trauma. I coached a Broadway performer during 9/11, right after that happened, and she was in Cats. And after that trauma, after about 2 months, she moved to California and left Broadway. She just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And so people make choices based upon their level of trauma and releasing it. So I think it's really important that people, as they do go through a transition, this could be an opportunity for people to move to a family location or someplace else. But as you rebuild, it creates a strong sense of community in all of us. So again, I really suggest people go through this manual, be able to go through and know that it's normal to feel the way they feel. And I think that's the biggest part psychologically, is just knowing it's okay to feel upset. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be confused. It's okay. It's a disaster. There'll be brighter days. It's just knowing how to process it and get to it.
Yeah, and I literally direct quote from the governor of Kentucky, it's okay to not be okay, and I think that's the biggest takeaway. Terry, is there anything else that people impacted, people that may know somebody impacted, anything else anybody should take away from this conversation before we send you off?
Well, at my website is where this free information is terrylyles.com, TerryLyles.com. I have a lot of free resources. This one in particular is called Caught in Nature's Path. It's a 30-page downloadable free PDF, and you can send it out to everyone. So I'd encourage people that know people there, you can send it to them. It's free. It's what we do to our communities around the globe when these kind of disasters hit. So please, visit terrylyles.com, get your free PDF download. There's a lot of great information there that can help you. And this is why we do this for myself and my publisher, is to get information out by the thousands and help as many people as we can.
Yeah, Terry, definitely a great resource to have all of your PDFs and all of that information in there. Definitely a great read. Terry, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now for Fox. As always, we appreciate your time, and we'll be chatting soon. You have a great day. Now, we've talked to you.
The future of health is not a thing that tracks your heart rate night and day, that gives you the most accurate sleep data, that tracks your heart rate during your workout, that predicts your period a month early and alerts you a week before it starts, that senses your blood oxygen levels, that knows when you might be feeling unwell, even before you do, that's water resistant up to 330 feet. The future of health is you.
When you begin your morning with delicious honey bunches of oats, you make your day and the world around you a whole bunch better. You're the ingredient the world needs, so go on, make a bunch happen.
We get it. We all want to be on the other side of this pandemic. But remember how we got this far by staying strong together. We're New York City public school teachers. With parents as partners, we've kept the learning going for our kids. We're staying focused on safety too, fighting for new limits on class size to help every child recover and grow. The United Federation of Teachers. We're all in this together.
We're black.
All right, since that devastating shooting at Oxford High School in Michigan, board members of the school district there in Oxford held their first meeting last night. We want to bring you there and show you what they were talking about. So for that coverage, we will turn to our local Fox reporter there, Dave Spencer.
his community is still raw.
Every day that we live in fear is a day that Ethan wins.
Why didn't you call the police when we knew there was a kid with a problem?
This was a mental health crisis, and everybody knows it. We want to be able to send them. They want to go back to school. They want that. But we need to be comfortable too.
I'm absolutely devastated, not only for this community, for the people who've lost their children, but, for my own home.
You have to earn my trust back. And that's by change.
Still, school officials stand united in their support of a return to normalcy.
The sooner that we can get our students and staff back into school, the better.
Ideally, the high school would reopen after Christmas break, but Superintendent Tim Throne says he knows that's an ambitious thought. When they do come back, school security will look different. For instance, no backpacks until they can find a vendor for clear backpacks. They will also implement a zero-tolerance policy.
Any student who provides anything that looks remotely violent or in any way threatening is out of school.
Meanwhile, the school board voted to conduct an external investigation of the events leading up to and including the shooting on November 30th, all while cooperating with the current criminal investigation conducted by the sheriff's office.
We have been 100% transparent with the Oakland County prosecutor and the Oakland County Sheriff's Department.
The parents of the alleged Oxford High School shooter made their first court appearance since entering not guilty pleas during their arraignment when they were brought up on involuntary manslaughter charges. James and Jennifer Crumbly appeared before a judge for a probable cause conference in Rochester Hills District Court. You can see both of them sitting inside of the courtroom with their masks on. To dive a little bit deeper into this, we want to bring on Andrew Shirkowski, former federal prosecutor. Andrew, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, and it's such an interesting story to talk about because it's so far outside of what we usually see in these scenarios, and it's so terrible to have a baseline to judge that by, but we really haven't seen anything like this in recent years.
Yeah, most definitely. We knew that Ethan Crumbly, their son, was going to be facing some major charges, but now the parents being brought into this, how common is that?
It's not common at all, because what you're really looking for in even having the option to charge the parents is that they had to have some sort of recklessness, some sort of gross negligence at a minimum in their involvement in the actual murders themselves. So they would have had to have had some reason why they knew that there was a shooting that was planned or something of that nature. And I think that what's interesting in this case is that they have evidence that they obtained that gun just a week before. And so I think the prosecutors are really going to have to show how the parents would have had some sort of idea that the son would have been likely to use it or was intending to use it, something of that nature. That's what makes this a unique case.
Right. So we have the evidence of the gun being bought just days before that, and then also some texts that were exchanged between Ethan and his mother, Jennifer. And so is this enough evidence for them to be prosecuted?
Well, you see some text messages generally showing the mother kind of being in a supportive role over the son or something of that nature. I think the prosecutors are going to have to show that she knew more than just a son who was having a hard time or maybe had some sort of negative thoughts in his head, but really had some sort of stated intent to do harm or violence to others, and that she encouraged it, essentially, that she had some role in bringing about the furthering of the crime, not just failing to talk to somebody about it, but really having some sort of affirmative role. I think that's what the prosecutors are definitely going to want to show a jury in this case, because again, it is very unusual to try to hold the parents responsible for what a child did where the parents weren't even there.
Do you find this to be a unique case with the parents' involvement with Ethan and what he did, or do you think that future cases of possibly school shootings and kids being able to access a handgun, do you think that they are also going to be prosecuted? The parents are going to be looked into further now because of this case?
I think there are some very troubling pieces of evidence that we've started to see, at least in the media and publicized in this case so far. Things that make you really wonder what the Crumbleys must have been thinking. I don't know if it's going to be criminal yet. That's what the process is here for, and it's going to be a long time. And obviously, their defense attorneys have each even made statements that have indicated that it's only part of the story. So I think it's going to take a lot of time to really understand why the prosecutors not only are troubled by it, but why they're convinced that there was a criminal element to it. What the parents specifically should have done to have stopped this violence, or what they did to encourage the violence, and perhaps even more than just having brought a firearm into the house, that they would have known that they're bringing it in because the son wanted to use it or had some sort of stated intent. So I think the prosecutors are going to need to come forward with even more evidence that we've seen, because all we have right now is evidence that causes concern, not evidence that proves beyond a reasonable doubt criminal involvement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with this being, a possible standard moving forward, where could you draw the line with parents being held responsible for what their kids are doing? Maybe a hunting knife at home being utilized to stab and kill someone. Could that be held against the parents?
Well, and it's very scary to think with our rights under the Second Amendment and how people choose to utilize those rights, whether they have firearms in the home. Does this automatically mean that there will be charging of parents in the future of school shootings? I don't see that as the case. I see this as a somewhat unique case in that the prosecutors have already been able to demonstrate a high amount of involvement of the parents, having received some degree of idea of the threat that was at hand, and their encouragement for the son to remain at the school, and their facilitation of having brought a weapon into the home a week earlier. Those are all particularly unique circumstances if the prosecutors really can weave that common thread of their knowledge, an elevated degree of knowledge of a risk there. So just because something like this happens, I don't think automatically you'll see that, but we certainly are sending or seeing a message sent that parents do have some degree of responsibility to alert authorities, or at least not help their children carry out the things that they're saying are in their minds, or those bad acts that some children can execute. And so, there's that fine line. At what degree are you responsible for your children, and do you have to bring risks to the authorities' attention? And then on the other hand, at what point is a young person's decisions that are independent of the parents' control that person's own decisions? Very, very deep questions here, and not something we've seen a long precedent of.
Andrew, last question for you. What do you foresee as the future for these two, and then also for their son, Ethan, who actually was the one pulling the trigger?
Well, the actions of Ethan cannot be condemned harshly enough. I'm sure that he will be facing a very high degree of punishment for the allegations against him if they're able to prove it all beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's yet to be seen. But with the parents, I think that we see a tougher prosecution ahead. I think that they're going to have to do more than just demonstrate that the parents had some reason to be concerned about their son's well-being, but that they really knew that there was a violent intent, or that there was a more specific intent to carry out that violence, and that buying that weapon or bringing that weapon in the home was that big of a mistake, because they actually knew that there was a real potential that he would use that. So a lot to be seen in terms of what...
Alexa, how's the weather? Alexa, wake up. Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, the house clean, everything clean, ready to go, good to go. Everything clean and good to go. If it's no good, I throw it. You won't squeeze, I don't know. No good. Laundry drop off. Hey, how you doing? You miss me? No, I want to do drop-off. Drop-off, yeah. No time to do lunch. To go to work. Time is money, you know. It's a small one. It's a tiny one, Lucy. You miss me? I miss you too. How much? $8. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Okay. Mañana. Do I have something here? I don't think so. Okay. Get some more. Put the keys for the guest in the lunchbox. Till the guest get the key. Then I don't have to be. Get coffee. Maybe turkey egg white. Yeah. The chef is in the house. Where's the chef? How you doing? Are you the chef?
Yes, my friend.
Can you do the turkey egg white in a whole wheat bread?
Turkey egg white in a whole wheat bread?
Yeah, lettuce, tomato, salt, pepper, mayonnaise.
All right.
Thank you. Hurry up, time is money. And money is everything. It's the coffee, self-service coffee. Hurry up. Don't take too long to go to work. Milk, coffee. What did I ask? Coffee light, no sugar. Mike Road, watching from Filipino, maganda umaga, cherry blossom, maganda umaga. My wife Filipino. Yeah. Look at this ATM. See, you can do cardless. You don't have to have your card. Cardless, Bitcoin. How the cardless work? Cash pickup, MasterCard, both money.
Is anybody in here that's parked in the driveway? No.
Not me. Not me. Somebody parked in her driveway. Not me. No cheese, no. No cheese. Yeah, toasted whole wheat bread. Yes, sir. Yes, boss. You're the boss. What? How much? $2.
Huh?
$2.
$10.
How much? Maybe I take one and one number 22.
You're gonna have kids here.
All in all,
I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
We already did slow up. I've lived enough to like find
I want to get a but yeah, she's like, you gotta, she's like, enjoy this before you have kids. I'm like, I'm not, I'm good. That's what I said. I was like, I'm not having kids for.
Oh, yes.
A good amount of years.
Yeah, we still have but I don't know. Thank you.
I mean, also, it's like, you don't drink, so like,
Yeah, there's like, even at the point.
No luck. This lottery is bullshit. Ready. Napkin. I like this thing you do in your head. How can I do this thing here? It's look like a heart. I wanna go to tell my wife to do like that for me. Can I take pictures, show her?
Okay.
I want to tell her this is so beautiful. I'm gonna do something for me.
I'm a Hindu too. I can.
Yeah, I can do like that too. Yeah. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
See you mañana.
Yeah.
This is cool. God bless.
Ram Ram. That's it.
Ram Ram. They say Namaste. He had a heart on his forehead. That's so cute. He had a red heart on his forehead. I took a picture. Did you see that? Oh. The chef has an Indian. He has a heart, red heart in his forehead. How cool is that? Ay, nananay. Look at this. Look at this tree decoration. See a ladybug. There's a ladybug here. See a ladybug? Watch out, the ladybug gonna come after you. Watch out. You better watch out. Better watch out, the ladybug gonna come after you. Merry Christmas. Where's my Cadillac? Holding the baby. I don't know who is it. Santa Claus holding the baby. Ay, nananay, tatatay. A quick lunch, a quick break, and we continue. Show you the coffee. Quick coffee break. Turkey, egg white, and whole wheat bread, lettuce, tomato. Like a breakfast. Good morning. Uncle Scrooge, good morning. Let's go.
Starting normal recording. Cloud connected.
Healing room, tiny room. מה נשמע? מתוקה שלי. איה. אישה מיוחדת, אפילו הבת שלי קוראים לה איה כמוך. אחלה איה שבעולם. מתי את עושה לייב? כשאת בעבודה. אחלה איה שבעולם. איה סיה. בחורה הכי יפה בניו יורק. בחורה הכי סקסית בניו יורק. עורכת דין, איה סיה. לא היית רוצה שיהיה לך איזה עורכת דין משלך? עכשיו באסטוריה, קווינס. מנה קצת גזולינה, בנזינה. בוקר טוב היה. גזולינה here, 359. 359 cash, 369 credit. Got my coffee to go.
Sorry for the wait, boss. What would you like?
Fill up. No, I know. I want to get the blue water. Blue water.
Oh, for that?
Fill up cash regular. Thank you.
Look what the wind blew in. Nikki, look what the wind blew in. Somebody's happy.
Blue water. Windshield. Yesterday, 359 cash. Joanna, Joanna. 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 My dear love, Joanna. We love you a long time.
You need receipt?
Yes, I have the blue water too, the windshield water.
Okay. So it's 29. You want me to put it in the car for you?
Hmm?
You want me to put it in the car?
No, I just put it in the trunk.
Okay.
Yeah, over there, you see, there's one of these. Just drop in the trunk, right?
Okay. Here's the receipt. 34. Frankie, babe. $25 for the washer.
So 16 change.
Thank
Give me a second. 5, 10, 15.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
You're welcome, boss. Safe travel today, right? Stay out of trouble.
You say 60. ג'ואנה זה רעבה באנגלית, בערבית. זה קטעים. ג'ואנה. ג'ואנה. מהאקס לייף היו קוראים לה ג'ואנה. 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 עכשיו צריך ללכת לנקות מנהטן. היום אני עסוק בניקיונות. אחר כך צריך לאסוף את הילדה מהגן. אולי לאסוף את האישה מהבית ספר. Full day. Pick up. Drop off baby in kid garden. Clean Astoria. Clean Manhattan. Pick up baby from the school. Pick up wife from the school. I don't have time for myself to work. I'm like a single daddy now. Joanna. Joanna.
Parking mode on.
What?
Dr. McCool?
Dr. McCool? I can Google it for you. You know how to spell it?
I think it's MC.
His eye doctor?
Yes.
MC what?
MCKOOL.
K-O-O-L. Doctor, yeah. It's 40th Street in Queens. It's 41st Street. Dr. Richard McCool.
Yes.
Okay.
Where? What street?
Oh, I mean, I can take you there. 31-27 41 Street.
40?
31 dash, you see? What is this? Is 44.
Yeah, 41st?
44 go, yeah. No, this is the address, you see?
Oh, stupid.
I mean, I can take
Yeah,
you.
that's it. No, it's all right. Come on. 31, 41st.
33-27 41 Street.
41.
Yeah. A few blocks. Let me see. The number go down there?
Yeah, he's right off this area.
Yeah. Dr. McCool, the eye doctor. Old lady. I offered to take her. She don't want. Even old lady don't want me to take her. Maybe I'll do a little vacuum. She's like 70 years old. That lady with the red coat. You just go down the corner. Do a little vacuum. Cleaning is very important. Clean the house, clean the car. Some people don't care. The car is so dirty, the house so dirty. Cleaning is very important. Come on now. Vacuum. Joanna. Joanna. Be a little noisy. Little vacuum. car wash too. Car is all clean. All clean, good to go. $2 break. I'll go FedEx office. Here is FedEx office there. FedEx office. FedEx office, probably Steinway. It's fucking up. Let's go to Steinway. Steinway. Fucking Steinway. Police. Joanna. Joanna. No, Steinway, baby. I mean Steinway. In Astoria, Steinway. No, Queens Boulevard is far away from here. You know Astoria? You should move to Astoria. I don't know where you live with all the Chinese people. Move to Astoria. It's much nicer. Even Flushing, far away. Astoria close to the city, civilized people. Let's park in the municipal Steinway. Municipal. $60. I can park there. $2 per hour. $2 per hour. next office to send something. You leaving? You leaving? You leaving?
Yeah,
Can I get your ticket?
I paid with my phone on the app.
You leaving? Can I get your ticket? Can I get your ticket? Oh, you going out? Oh. Oh. You can come. Oh, you wait.
Go.
They don't accept meter. I have to use the app. You see, it says zone, so I have to use the app. NYC app. I'm gonna put for not long, you know. Let's see, make sure I have the mask. Need a mask everywhere you go. They're asking for mask. Zone number. To put the zone. What is the zone? 4, 6, 9, 2, 3, 7. It's 20 minutes, 30 minutes. $1. The color because the sunshine give you a hard time. fucking ID.
Starting normal recording.
On to the next one, people. On to the next one.
Cloud connected.
Hello, Fabian. What's up, Fabian? Hello, it's me. Hello, it's me. Hello, how are you? Everything is all right. Are you lonely? Well, the leader, stop crying. Tell the baby, stop crying. Wow. Hello, everything is all right. Hello. Hello. Everything is all right. Hello, how are you? Everything is all right. I'm getting lonely. Okay, next, Manhattan. Look at this Ferrari driving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ferrari driving. Hello, how are you? Is everything is all right? Lonely. Hello, how are you? Is everything is all right? Don't be lonely. How much to make a car key? Steinway Avenue, baby. You just ship a document to the Israeli consulate. Try to get ID from a baby girl. Let's see how long it's gonna take them. Let's see how long. Hello, how are you? Is everything is all right? Shelly, my dear love Shelly, me love you a long time. When you come into New York, Shelly, don't forget to bring Anthony. Show you around. Guess Shelly no.
To the first woman to become NYPD commissioner. Queens native Keishan Sewell will now head the biggest police department in the country, family that from the Queensbridge housing. Mayor de Blasio details the exact mandate for private employers. Two fires have left 3 people dead in Brooklyn and Queens. And money news for families today. It's the day a child tax credit runs out. And a new exhibit is opening at the American Museum of Natural History featuring dozens of sharks. AccuWeather says not exactly swimming weather, but pretty mild for December. A high of 54 degrees today. Winds news time 12:01. That's time for traffic and transit with Karen Stewart. I've got good news as we start with what you need to know about the bridges of Tunnel. That Island-bound Arizona Bridge up for a level disabled truck. It's gone. We shall be outbound.
Hello?
To the bridge, but it's going to get better really quick for you guys right now. We are
Yes, everything is alright. Load. Tequila. Mexican restaurant. Tequila. Mexican restaurant. Tequila. You want tequila? I like it moving. $6 count. Good order. Self-service. I like it moving.
With the road work, out by 109th Street, a couple lanes down there. So we're delayed from Bucket Brand Avenue. Long Island, Big 3, we've got road work.
I like it moving. Stop the clock. Hello? How are you? Everything is alright. Don't be lonely. Northern Boulevard. Right.
On this historic choice of a new top cop, it is said that the NYPD is the best of the best. We're about to get even better. Keishan Sewell confident that the current Nassau County Chief of Detectives starts at a time of rising crime and calls for police accountability, also amid low police morale. I think the new community police relations actually increases morale. When you start to get into kind of the street, when you start to make sure that somebody feels safe on the street, it brings pride to a police officer. She says to avoid the pitfalls of the disbanded plainclothes anti-crime unit.
Hello?
Hello, listen carefully. You have reached 711 Locksmith. Please text me any detailed information regarding to your...
What's up?
Somebody yelling, what's up? Cuckoo, cuckoo.
Parking mode on.
Involves the risk of loss. 22x1211 from issue on traffic and transit. Here's Karen Stewart. All right, we're good. So where to start? Where to start? How about Long Island? Taking a check of Long Island. We've got delays. Looks like we've got an accident over on the eastbound Southern State right after the exit of 107. We are delayed back to the Seacoast Expressway in this case, so not that very far, but it is a very heavy delay. We've got road
are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Be happy. It's getting cold outside. This is freezing. Freezing. Everything is all right. Indeed. Charlie Choo-Choo. Get police report. take the phone to the Lambo Hotel. Do you want to see Lambo Hotel in Manhattan? Should I close the live or take the phone to Lambo Hotel? What do you want? Up to you. You're the boss. Powering down. Powering down. What do you say? You want to take the phone with me or turn off the line? Okay, we'll be back later. back later. Adios. With Eye of Blacks.